Hey everybody, hey members. I'm just sitting in the parking lot. I had a couple appointments this morning. Couldn't do a show, but of course my wife went with me because she's off this week, and she's in Goodwill. I got a cup of coffee. I don't want to go to Goodwill, so I'm just kicking back here, just relaxing, and hopefully you guys had a good Christmas, a good time. You know, that's the main thing, is being safe, having a good time. It's not to me, it's never about presents or anything, because you know what I've learned about Christmas is I'm a giver, I'm not a receiver. I did get one hat. Actually, I kind of picked out that hat. We were in the mall, right, and they had a cool Mexican store, and it reminded me of growing up in Kermit outside of Fresno, because we grew up in a Mexican community. Where, well, actually, just between you and my members, when my mom left, she left. I was a baby, so I didn't even know her until I was like 17. But the story goes, when she left, she took my father's last check. So wherever they were living, because I don't have no memories, I was a baby. We had to move, and my father worked with a friend at work. Said, "Hey, I run this place. It's like an apartment building, but it's not an apartment that's for like original, renters. It was for illegal aliens. I guess I hate the word illegal aliens, but people who don't have the proper paperwork to be here in America. So it was a place for them to live. That's the only place we could get. So in a weird way, we were the only white family on this block, and it was awesome growing up this way, because it really was. Because one of the things you learn about the Mexican culture is they're very more family oriented than we are. They stick together, and the things you saw, and when things you heard with the presidents and all that, these people come over this country, you're all drug addicts and the crime. No, that's not true. These people were the hardest workers you ever seen. These people worked hard for almost like no pay. They did jobs that regular people in America wouldn't do, because we were surrounded by cotton, grapes and stuff, and they worked their butts off. And it was cool culture, and man, I'm telling you, I still remember the food, because when you eat chicken, let me just tell you, that chicken's fresh. They grew their own chickens there where we live. I mean, it was like one of those community farms type places where you think of, and that's where we were living. So I remember watching the Elvis movie where Elvis had to grow up. It kind of reminded me of that, because we grew up like that, but it was the Mexican culture. It was awesome. It was a awesome culture. I mean, it's all as a kid, first of all, that's all you knew, right? It's all you knew, and for us growing up, it was kind of weird, because for Christmas, my father couldn't afford Christmas. Couldn't afford Christmas at all. So every Christmas, he would drop us off at grandparents' house, but not his parents, because his parents were passed away. It was my mom's parents, which was weird, because, our mom, she left. I mean, I thought she, honestly, this might sound weird, I thought she died, because I didn't know, I didn't know. Never seen the mom. They never asked what happened. It was always weird, because every time I went to my grandparents' house, she was like Oklahoma or something like that. There was never any new pictures of her. Only pictures of the one they said, before she left. So it was kind of weird. There was never updated pictures. So I always, at the time, I know it's weird, assumed she passed away, because nobody ever talked about her mom. Never, ever. It was just the most weirdest thing. Then I realized, oh, she's not dead. Because the only reason I learned that she was alive, because she was going to come back. And I was like 16 or 17. But we spent all our Christmas at my mom's parents' house with no mom. So that was always kind of strange, but it was Christmas. That's all we knew. So, Christmas, it was always different. Go to grandparents' house, you go home, and, my father, he had presents, but, it wasn't that much. So I never expected to get presents. It was just one of those things. It was just never expectation. So, you know. And to me, it's more better giving than receiving anyway. So I was fine and all that. So that's as myself growing up for Christmas. That's, you know, growing up as a kid, and wouldn't trade it in for anything, because I really learned, you know, if you want something, you have to earn it. And, you know, so anytime I hear presidents talk about people coming over the borderlines, when I hear about walls, I hate it. I hate it. Because if you don't know a culture unless you live it, unless you're there. You don't know how wonderful this culture really was if you're actually there, you know. And when you're there, the Mexican culture didn't care the color of your skin at all. You know, you're welcome, you know. And one of the things is the food was always fantastic. They always make sure people are fed and there's food and you're always invited. It was, my opinion, was a wonderful time in my life, and I'm glad I grew up in it, you know. No, my wife's different story. They grew up in a house in Cortland, New York. You know, the normal stuff, So, you know, I remember going to her house, visiting and all that. I was like, wow, and that's what it's supposed to be like. But, you know, it is what it is. I wouldn't trade it in for nothing, because, you know, sometimes I always wish, like, these politicians, you know, they always say they're here to help you, but they don't understand it because they never lived it. You never lived it. How do you really understand it? How do you know what people need? You know that. And if you just tear down walls in this world, just tear down all walls, let everybody be accepted, let everybody be neighbors. Yeah, will there be rough patches doing something like that? Well, of course there always is. But, you know, when you think about crime and drugs, we have that here without anybody else in other countries. So we can't even deal with our own stuff, and you're worried about, you're making excuses about them. It's just so dumb. I love Mexico, and I love visiting. I miss, a lot of times I do miss Fresno. I miss that side of the culture. You know, Seattle's cool. It's great. You know, it's nice. But I really miss it. So beyond that, guys, I want to say, you know, New Year's is coming up this weekend. Again, be safe. Be safe. No, because I always say, if you be safe, be careful. I'm not saying don't take chances, because then you're healthy, you're safe. And then you can really go, you know, search for the skies, search in the mountains. Because that's where I like to be. So everything else, I want to say Happy New Year's to everybody. New Year's coming up. And thank you again for being members of my channel. And like I said, I'm going to keep doing a lot more of these kind of videos like this. Get a little bit more personal, let you guys know who I am and, you know, how I grew up, you know, and would not trade anything at all, because I think growing up like that makes me a better person. Even though I grew up 20% deaf, didn't get my ears fixed until I was like in 4th grade, you know, and didn't realize how valuable hearing was until you actually had it. I thought the hearing that I grew up with was the hearing. But it is what it is. I'll talk about that story next time. Beyond that, have a great day.